Excellent. Hi, Carlos.
Hello.
Let's start with the team news. International break, first of all. Have the players who've been on international duty come back fit and okay to play this weekend?
Yes, I think is. Pipa was playing many games with the national team for Spain. For me, this is something very positive for us as a club because means that talk about the level of the play that we have. He was doing a fantastic job with Spain. So we are happy to have him here after he was playing 90 minutes the first game, 45 minutes versus Italy in the second game, and 90 minutes in the third game. He has recovered well in a good way. So he was working today with the team. He will be working tomorrow too. Hopefully he will be available to the next game.
Great. And
The good player.
Bakuna's been away as well, hasn't he?
Yes, Bakuna the same. He was playing 90 minutes in the first game that they had with his country. He was versus Cuba in the second game and he was playing the same minutes. He was scoring 2 goals in the first game. So very positive when they travel to go with the national team to have the minutes. And after, of course, to come back without any type of problem. Of course, Bakuna play in different country with a different timetable, so at different times. So he will have a little bit the consequence of the jet lag that in the first period of time, he need to adapt again to the normal times from here.
Will he be available to face Brentford
Yeah.
then? Or yeah. And other injuries, are there any players coming back after this spell of the international break? The likes of Harry Toffolo, Josh Koroma, are they any closer to being available again?
Yes, it's like during this period of time, we had players like Rolando Arons, was the first one that add to the trainings. He was making some of the couple of days the previous week, and during this week, he had been working with more regularly days. So he's one of the players that we know that he was a lot of time out of the team. So he need to add his physical conditions, but now he have started to work, especially this week with all the days with the group. So it's one option that we have to be available to with the team. The other player that today did the first training was Josh Koroma. He trained the first time today with the group. So we have moved a little bit before the time of the recovery because we didn't expect to have him this week. We expected more to have him in the next week, but we could move like a 4 or 5 days his recovery with the group of the work with the group today. So it was very positive to see Koroma because he was one important player for us, and at the same time he's a player with a long-term injury that have suffered a lot when the players are out of the team. So we had him today. Was one very fantastic news for us. And Toffolo is different because he started to work with the medical staff outside in the pitch. We know that his recovery is going to need a little bit more of time, and we need to wait to see how he reacts to the work that he's doing now in the field, but with the medical staff, not with the football staff.
Does it finally feel like you're getting that good competition for places back because of these returning players that, it gives you more options to choose from, a nice headache to have?
Yes, always when you have all the squad available is a very positive news. Unfortunately, like I told you, we don't have to follow available. That was one important player, especially in the position that he played. And at the same time, Schindler because he continued being an injury and he is not being part of the group.
A new face since we last spoke with Omar Nias joining the club. Is he ready to play? Will we see him on Saturday?
The situation we didn't have a luck with him because before to sign him that we announced this the last Friday, we were doing a job. He was working with our physical staff during the previous 3 weeks. They start to give from we start the conversation, one planning for him to make the work that our physical staff was following. And after he was working some individual training with the physical staff, waiting to see if the papers arrive on time to cancel him or no. The papers arrived on time to make the agreement with him. And we decided he was doing some trainings in that week with the group. We played one game here in the training ground versus Rosedale the last Friday, like a friendly game, but was behind closed doors here in the training ground. And unfortunately, one of the actions in the first minutes of the game, he slipped first, and after he split, because one player was fell on him, and he opened the legs, and unfortunately, he suffered one injury, We scanned him on Monday, but the scan he had some liquid in the image, so we didn't know. We cannot know what is the impact of the injury. We need to wait until next Monday to make the second scan and to see if the injury is a short-time injury or the injury is a mid-time injury. So we don't know yet. But was one real accident that he suffered in the game, because after he jumped for one ball, he slipped. After he slipped, he split. And after he split, one player was in front of him. He went to the floor and he suffered one injury. That this injury could happen to any player in the pitch. Unfortunately, happened to him, so we are not going to have him available for the Saturday.
That's really bad luck. How concerned are you that we might not actually see him now before the end of the season?
No, we don't know. I cannot tell you that he's not going to be until the end of the year. It's like, of course, for us was important to make the game for the players that are playing less minutes. And he was one of the players involved in this group, like Danny Ward, like Joel Pereira, like Alex Vallejo that didn't play many minutes in the previous games, like Chris Lowe, like Stillman that didn't play many minutes in the previous games, like Scott Hyatt that didn't play many minutes, like Alex Pritchard, like all the players that we were thinking that they need some minutes, they were involved in that game. That was fantastic to add the right values, because never is the same to make one training than to make one game. It's like if you want to perform well in one real game situation, in a real competition game, you need to add some minutes previously that the trainings cannot give you. So we create this friendly game just to give these minutes to the players that needed to be ready to help the team in any type of circumstance in the real competition. And only Nia suffered one injury, so it's part of the things that we need to adapt and to face.
So just to clarify on that then, do you know what exactly the injury is? Obviously, you'll find out more on Monday, but...
We don't know until Monday, because in the first scan that we did with him this previous Monday, he had some liquid in the area of the injury, and we don't know exactly if he has a small injury of 1 week, if he has a medium injury of couple of 2 or 3 weeks, or he has a long-term injury. We don't know yet until the liquid doesn't disappear, but we expect that to receive the best news on Monday. The feeling of the player is positive, and this is something positive, but until the image doesn't confirm the feeling of the player, we cannot say the day that he's going to be out of the team or the day that he's going to integrate in the team.
Okay, and in terms of area of the body, is it knee, groin? Where is it that he's injured?
Yes, it's the groin.
Right, thank you.
No,
Brentford at home then on Saturday. It was a very difficult game there at the start of the season. What, if anything, can you learn from that first game coming into the home match on Saturday?
I don't think Brentford didn't change a lot, because I think they have one clear style. For Frank, the coach that they have, start to coach the team. He was working only in the first season when he was taking the team in the middle of the season. He started to play 3-4-3, but from the last year he started to play with a very clear style, with the 4-3, with a lot of behaviors in attack, being one team that tried to take the ball. And for me, from we played the first game with them, it's exactly the same that they are doing now. They have a lot of versatility, they have a lot of quality players in the middle of the pitch, and of course we are using the previous game that we played with them. And at the same time, every game that we were watching during this period of long time that we have to prepare that game. So it's a team that we know exactly what they are, because they are showing this with this philosophy that they have. They had success the previous year because they achieved something very important, and they were just one game in the back of to get something magic for them. And they are this year in a similar position. So what we know is going to be one very strong game versus one very good team. For me, that is coached very well by the coach that they have right now. So it's going to be one high challenge for us again.
The pressure is on them to try and achieve a top 2 finish. There's a little gap that they're trying to close at the moment. Does that put them under perhaps more pressure going into this game, knowing how desperate they are to try and get promoted to the Premier League?
I think both teams arrive with the same target to the game. Both teams are going to try to get the 3 points, because I don't think they arrive with more pressure than us, or we arrive with more pressure than them. I think both teams arrive to the game with the clear target to go for the 3 points. I know Brentford every time they play in any game, they go with this idea, and every time that we play any game, we go with the same idea. So I think both teams are going to play with a clear idea to try to go for the game, knowing that for us it's going to be a high challenge, but like every game, but just in a different way. It's like every game from now till the end of the year is going to be a real challenge. When you play versus teams that are in the top of the league, they are playing for the targets. When you play versus teams that are more in a low position of the team of the league, like us, we are playing for another target. So everyone is playing for the targets, and when arrive these moments, every game is going to be a real battle.
Lots of players at Huddersfield are out of contract this summer with 9 games to go. Do you already know in your own mind who you would like to offer a new deal to, who you would like to keep, or could these remaining games influence your decision in any way?
No, I think the most important thing for me is to continue be playing the games that we have. We know that we have 9 games left. The first 7 games that we are going to play now are going to be played in 22 days. So from we start to play Brentford to the next 7 games that we are going to have in a row are going to be playing 22 days. So it means that the competition is going to be very demanding for us, and now our concentration is just 100% in this period of time that we are going to face now.
So it's not something that you're particularly thinking about, or have you already made your mind up?
My mind now is in Brentford, and after Brentford in the next game, and to prepare the games to create the right mentality to face these 7 games in a row that we are going to have in 22 days. That is going to be one very demanding period for us. So we need to be prepared well, preparing the games, prepare our minds, and prepare for everything during this period of time.
Thank you, Carlos. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Catherine. We'll see you Saturday. Stephen, do you want to pick up from there, please?
Hi, Carlos. You talked about the injuries there, but on a fitness theme, how are Yaya Sanogo and Danny Ward doing? Are they any closer to playing 90 minutes at all?
I don't know 90 minutes, but for example, the game that we played the other day versus Rochdale, Danny Ward in 70 minutes that he was playing, he was doing a very good, he was achieving a very good physical values, one of the best physical values in terms of the high intensity per minute that he was doing during all the year. So for me, it was fantastic game, fantastic minutes for him. And he was playing some beating games before, like like he was playing versus West Bromwich at the beginning of the international break. He was little by little arriving to the physical value that we expect from him. It's been positive that after this game, he was making normal trainings with the group. So he arrived now in a good conditions to be thinking that he's ready to play the game.
And what about Yaya Sanogo?
Sanogo didn't play the game versus Rochdale because we didn't think that the minutes were necessary for him. He was playing versus Cardiff here, where he was playing 70 minutes. He didn't play again this number of minutes. But the fact that he was playing this minute versus Cardiff means that now with the training that he's doing, he's in a good conditions to can repeat this type of efforts.
It's good news, isn't it? You've suddenly got a lot of forward options available to you. Even without Oumani Ash, you've got a lot of wingers and centre forwards that you didn't have previously.
Yes, I think it's always positive to have a different alternative. We know that the situation with Koroma is different because Koroma just making one training today, but little by little he needs to start to add the value that he needs and the number of trainers that he needs to can be thinking in him to play the game. Something similar about Rolando Arons, but we can start to be thinking in him. From Thomas Sorba arrived to the club, he gave us the option to come play as a winger too. He was one of the players that he was playing versus Rochdale the other day, and he's one player that is growing a lot in a fast period of time. So always, like I told you, it's good to have the different possibilities to play, to have different options to play as a winger or different options to play as a striker, because right now is the first moment of the season that we feel that we have Campbell, Sanogo and Danny Ward available, so 3 strikers. In all the season, we only had Campbell available as a striker. We were using at the beginning of the year Koroma too to play as a striker. In the moment that we lost him in his injury, we couldn't use him as a striker, so only we had the opportunity or the option to play with Campbell. So now to see that Campbell is in the team, that Danny Ward is in the team, and Sanogo is in the team too, give us the option to change a little bit the idea of the team. If we want to play with 2 strikers, to continue with the same idea to play just with 1 striker, to play with Campbell as a number 9 or as a number 10 too. So give us the option to play with two clear strikers, with one false striker and another clear striker. So now this option gives us the possibility to adapt a little bit more in the front of the attack.
How's Danny Grant doing?
No, Danny Grant continuing his process of recovery of the injury. He was playing some game in the academy in the last part of his process. He was playing some game with the academy with the under 19 because he started in this period, and he fell again something in the hamstring. We knew that he is a player with a past with some injuries because he's very explosive player, and the explosive player will have the risk to suffer injuries in the hamstring, and he didn't progress in the way like the medical staff was thinking, and he came back again to work with the medical staff. So I don't expect to have him working with the team during this year.
How far off is Josh Koroma from getting minutes for the first team?
Being honest, I don't know yet, because today, like I told you, was the first day that he was working with the team. It's something very positive. He was a long time without being the team. When one player is missing like a 4 months of the season, means that he's going to need a little bit of time to be ready to adapt. He was working very, very well. He was progressing very well. He was taking care of himself a lot. Something very positive that talk about his mentality right now. I was watching this mentality from I arrived here to the club, because he was doing an extra effort to put his mentality in the right way to can be an important player for us. During all this process that he was taking very care about his body, about his weight, about the program that he was doing, and it was fantastic because fortunately we could move maybe 4 or 5 days, but it's a positive news to see him 4 or 5 days before the time that we expected. But nowadays it's impossible for me to tell you when he's going to be available to play with the team.
I'm sorry to keep banging on about injuries, but Cara Lighting posted on Instagram that he's been back in the gym. How is he likely to play this season, or are we not going to see him?
We are going to have some chance to play with him. Is the news that I have from the medical staff. Possible maybe the next week, or maybe he traveled to be here with us, is to start to make the recovery, the last part of his recovery with us. So depend the physical condition that he arrived here, we are going to have the option to play some minutes with him, or if he doesn't arrive in the right condition, he will do the last part of the recovery with us. But I think everything that I listen from the medical staff is positive. So we hope that when we see the player here, we confirm that the player can be with us in the last moments of the last games of the season.
That's great news. And I guess the same question for Christopher Schindler. Is he likely to appear again?
A little bit different with Schindler, because his injury didn't progress in the way that the medical staff was expecting. So I think it's going to be real difficult, or close to being impossible, to see him playing this year with the team.
Yeah, it's a big blow. He's an important player for you, isn't he?
I think Schindler has been very important player for the club. First of all, before I arrived here, the impact that this player had in this club was high. After, he was part of the highest achievement of the team to arrive to the Premier League, and he was part of this, scoring the last goal in the penalty, something that all our fans are going to remember, I think, always. So he was part of this. He was part of the team, of the squad that kept the team in the Championship, in the Premier League. And after, he was continuing playing here in the last year, the previous year to the last year, and this year too. And unfortunately, he was one of the central backs that we were planified to play with him, but we couldn't. Then we need to, like always I say, our work is always to adapt to these type of accidents that the players can suffer.
And just back to sort of the tactical thing, it's having those options just as you've hit on a bit of form. Playing the 3 at the back is a kind of a welcome headache to have, isn't it?
Always is very positive to have option of players to play. Always is very positive. And in the moment that you have more option of players, you can start to be thinking who play and continue playing the same way, or change the shape of the way that you will play, because you have different type of player that can help you. So always it's positive to have option, even if you don't change the way, or options to can change the way about who you are playing, how you are playing.
That's all from me. Thank you. Cheers. Good luck.
Thanks, Stephen. Leon, have you got anything to add, please?
Yeah, just a couple. Hello, Carlos. You mentioned Danny Ward. I'm just wondering how he is, sort of his mentality, because it's been a really tough year for him, hasn't it? You know, obviously he's come back to Huddersfield, and the injuries have been so frustrating for him, and it's been, you know, must have been really difficult for him.
Yes, but when you are in the last part of one injury, when you start to train with the group, when you start to win and again confidence with your body, I think you are in the best way after this difficult moment that he was living. There is any doubt that Danny didn't have an easy year this season.
Yeah,
He's the first one that is suffering the consequence of his injuries. But now, in the moment that he is right now, I think he is in a good mode, because he's watching like his body is reacting well. He was playing 3 games with the B team in not all the minutes, but he was playing 40 minutes. He was playing 55 minutes, and he was playing 70 minutes. And his reaction, or the reaction of his body in all these games, knowing that never is the same to play one friendly game that to play a real competition game, but the reaction of his body is being positive. So now he's in a moment that he start to win the positiveness in his mode, and at the same time the confidence in his body. That's something necessary for the player.
and I was just wondering, looking at your games, 3 of your next 4 games are at home. If you can get a healthy return of points, you can make yourself safe and hopefully enjoy the end of the season.
We know that the year is going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge. We know that we are going to play of the next game 5 at home. Of course, we need to make these games compete really well. This is our target, and go away and to continue competing well. So the best that we compete, more options we are going to have to add the points that we are going to need. And the faster that we add the points, the more that can give you. But at the same time, we need to be ready for everything. I cannot be ready just for the positive moments. We need to be ready as a team to be ready to face the competition in the way that we are going. So if the things work well at the beginning, perfect. If not, we need to have the mentality enough to face and to get our target, because the only important thing for me here is to get our target to continue the championship the next year.
And you must be very pleased with the mindset of your players. You've had some difficult moments, but they've shown togetherness and character.
Very important, because without this togetherness, without this character, without the personality, it's impossible to face the negative moments and to beat them. So it's important, it's moment to keep going in the direction that we were showing the last games, versus opponents that are going to create a clear challenge to us. Yeah. But you say, first of all, start in the mentality, first of all, start in our personality, in our character to play, and try to make the things depend on us.
Thanks, Carlos. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Leon. Jim, we'll throw it to you. Have you got anything to add, please?
Yeah, I suppose, Carlos, you mentioned there you had in-house games and challenge games, and you said you got time for players that really didn't see much game time. Did any of them impress you in terms of probably breaking onto the first team or putting their hands up in terms of starting for you?
No, I think right now what we are having is more possibilities, because to have Danny Ward, the option to play with Danny Ward is one option that we didn't have before, because he didn't train with the group like he was doing right now, for example. To have now Sanogo after make couple of weeks with the group in the training is something positive too, because from the medical point of view, he couldn't play in normal minutes in the last previous 2 games that we played, but right now he's in a normal conditions too, in 100% fit conditions to come play with the team. So only with these 2 players is something very positive. Now, having Rolando Arons, that from he arrived to the club immediately, he was playing all the minutes. So it's positive too to have the opportunity to come play with him. And to add Josh Koroma will be something fantastic for us, because we know how important he was from the beginning of the year. If to this player we add the option to play with 18, to have 18 for the last game, will be another fantastic news. So I think everything is going to depend about his adaptation to the team, to the normal level of the football, what football demands right now. And of course, will be fantastic to see all the players with Toffolo too involved at the end of the year. We'll see how they come back. But now my mind is more focused with the players that I know that they are 100% to compete, because now you don't have the same time to win the fitness levels or the football levels, not only the fitness levels, the football levels. Because right now, when you are playing 7 games in 22 days, you need to have a good physical football conditions to come face these games. So right now we are going to be focused with the players that we know that they are going to be ready to compete this immediately number of games.
And I suppose, Carlos, lastly for me, people will say there's a mental fragility about Brentford in terms of being so close to the finish line last year and not achieving this. If you score the first goal against Brentford, do you feel that maybe pressure might come to them and they might cave under the pressure? Or do you think Thomas Franks is an experienced manager that he's learned from last year in terms of that?
I think he's a very good coach. I would like to score first, be better than if they score first, but I would like to take any good result at the end of the game. So I think when one team is in a good position that they know how to manage the games when they are drawing, when they are losing, when they are winning. They manage very well the game, for example, versus Stoke City, where they start to losing the game and at the end they won 2-1 the game. And they are managing good moments too when they start to win the game and after they continue winning the game. So I think in football, at the end of the one season, you need to know how to manage all the different moments. And of course, they are capable to manage all the different situations. Not only the coach, the players too. And what we need to do is to exactly the same. It's very important for everyone that is in a football pitch to be ready to manage the different moments that appear during the game. The difficult one, the easy one, the positive ones, the negative ones. When you score, when they draw, when you win again. Because at the end, one game is the summary maybe of the team, how you manage these type of moments as a team.